Imagine if every puzzle on Earth was solved, every why that we have pondered but could not answer for all our trying be mastered. Imagine if we all God's ways could clearly understand. Will this be reality, or is it just myth? Our thinking is like the streaming colored lights, flames flickering across the dark northern night. It was dark before we started thinking, and it will be dark again if we stop. Some claim that most questions in nature have been answered. Others think that we have only just begun asking. This is their story, the story of the universe.
Some people have said that science is a method for asking questions of nature. And if that's true, then we can say the Big Bang supporters are people who won't take no for an answer.
Over the last 2 or 3 decades, the Big Bang theory has become increasingly more and more speculative. One expects from a scientific theory definite predictions which can be tested by observations. If the observations disprove the predictions, the theory is supposed to be disproved and it should be modified or abandoned.
In science, we work from observation, from empirical observation that starts in the here and now and works outwards and backwards. The Big Bang starts from mathematical formulas, deductions that start from the beginning of the universe and to try and predict it forward. This is the same mathematical approach, mathematical deductive approach, that led 2,000 years ago to the development of the Ptolemaic universe. The universe, of course, which was Earth-centered, with the planets going around the Earth, with the stars in a crystalline sphere. What these theories have in common is that they try and derive what should be the universe based on what perfect principles we can develop, what God should have made the universe to look like. And then they try to fit the universe into that perfect framework.
However, what has happened over the years is that whenever observations have come up which don't agree with the predictions of the Big Bang theory, the theory adds an extra assumption which is not at all tested, which is not at all resting on conventional physics, and simply assumes that that must be true.
The problem with that is that develops myth, not science. It develops a religious faith in which nothing in the real world, in the observable world, can contradict the faith in this structure, in the Big Bang. This undermines the entire scientific enterprise. The reason science has been valuable to human beings is because it allows us to predict nature in such a way as we can use nature in a predictable fashion in technology. To abandon this approach, which has served us so well, and to go to the idea that we can deduce, we can read the mind of God, as Stephen Hawking says, and deduce from perfect mathematical principles what the universe must be, is to abandon the scientific method.
There are those who would say that the story which follows could happen only in a dream. Regardless of where it could happen, this is the way it did happen in this rather strange and out-of-this-world office. Whitey is entrusted with the records of good salesmen. Red, the other kind. Now, it seems that Red and Whitey never see eye to eye on matters. Naturally, this leads to many arguments.
I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. There is only one door to heaven. People would have us believe there are many doors to heaven. No one can enter with a heart of unbelief. Only a heart that believes will have entrance there.
I'm going to keep a pretty close watch on these guys.
And so will I.
This idea of the Big Bang, which did originate at the beginning of the 20th century, the reason why it is so widespread nowadays is that it has a deep connection with the biblical creation. Instead of saying that the universe was created by God like 4,000 or 6,000 years ago, they now say it was created 10 billion years or 20 billion years. So for most people, and also for many scientists, they see a connection between this creation which comes from the Bible and this scientific point of view.
In 1952, in August 1952, we had a meeting of the International Astronomical Union in Rome. And we were received by the Pope. The Pope was then Pius XII. And Pius XII made an address to the astronomers. And this address was very clear. He said, oh, the Big Bang is the Fiat Lux, and how beautiful is the astronomy, how it proves that the greatness of etc., etc., etc. And I've been always sort of an heretic in all that sort of things. I don't believe in any God. And having the Fiat Lux and the Big Bang associated each with the other made me suspicious from the very beginning.
Nowadays, the majority of the physicists and astronomers, they believe and they work with the point of view of the Big Bang, according to which the whole universe did originate out of nothing, like 10 or 20 billion years ago, in a Fiat Lux, in a moment of creation. There was nothing before, and then the whole universe did appear and then begin to expand and to grow, and our galaxy, our life came out of this great explosion in the past. But I myself, I had always problems with this point of view because they are somewhat against the principles of physics, the most basic principles of physics, which are related with the conservation of matter and conservation of energy.
Yeah, I forgot completely about the Big Bang because it just didn't interest me to look in those distant things of which the physics was rather vague and difficult to observe. But let's face it, in all the story of astronomy, for years and years and centuries, the progress came from new observations and from confrontation of those new observations with past theories, contradictions, sometimes no contradictions, sometimes just a confirmation, but most often the contradictions led to new progress, to change in the theories.
In standard Big Bang cosmology, you have what I call a series of epicycles. The Greeks used to have epicycles, which are known as circles whose centers move on other circles, whose centers move on other circles, in order that they could correctly describe the position of a planet at any given time. They found that in some cases they had to introduce many circles before they could get anywhere near the reality. These epicycles are the assumptions that have been put in ad hoc into the theory from time to time.
The way that the Big Bang has handled the cosmic microwave background is a very good example of how this process works.